Now that we've converted all the assets and have them in scene, I wanted to showcase the visual style tool. So if we look right here in scene, I can go ahead and unhide everything. And I have this thing called the VS tool main right here. Now this is a visual style tool that I've put together, and it basically handles all the post-processing effects. This is just literally based off a post-process volume actor. It's a custom one that I made and put together, and it holds all of the logic that I need. So if you recall, when I did the Aira asset conversion, I set the custom depth and I set the stencil number. So you can stencil those items out and then apply specific effects to them. And so I have that running through this tool right here. So if I go to details, you can see that I have these options to the visual style tool. So you can see I have stencils listed from 1 to 10 on here. And then I can actually visualize those stencils by going to view mode, buffer visualizations, in the custom stencil, and it'll actually show those stencils that I had set previously. So the background is 2. The items in scene that I'm applying to are 3. They're the green ones. And I'm going to go back to the normal lit mode here, and then I can apply effects to those individually. So this volume right here, it's currently set to unbound, so it's just applying to everything in scene, but I could shut that off and it wouldn't apply to anything at all unless you're inside of the volume. But I want to apply it to everything in scene right now. This is a pretty simple scene, and this works for a current demonstration. So I'm going to go up to number 2 right here, and number 2 is the background, so like the flooring and whatnot. And I want to have some really nice soft fall off from the light instead of the hard toon fall off, which is default. So if I turn that on, you could see this really hard light, and that's not Aira's styling. Aira's environments are much more soft, and the items have more of that toon look to them. So that's not appropriate, so obviously I would turn that off, and I can set the shadow fall off value. That is really versatile. I can set the type of lighting I want per object. Let's go to the items in the room. I can, really quickly make them soft lighting, obviously that's not really what I'm going for. And I can also control the coloring for all of those. So let's say I want it to have like a, bright color to it, and then let's say I want to have some type of tint to it, so this is just an extreme to showcase it. You can see that almost magenta-y color is being applied to these items in the lit area. I don't want that. And I can also affect the darkened area. So let's say I wanted to make it really light, or I could make them pitch black, and have like a really stark contrast between the dark and the light. So you can see in a very quick way I can stylize any item I want in the scene and really fit it within the world of Aira and the proper lighting and atmosphere that's necessary. Something else this visual style tool does is that it applies fog effects and different post-process effects. So I actually have individualized fog volumes that will fit in type of a square. There's one applied to this whole scene right now. It's basically we're inside of it. It's like a fog volume that's being generated by this post-processing effect. Another thing that it's doing is that you can set like different wind settings, and then I get more granular with different fog settings. I can do a very a camera-based linear fog. I can do a fog that's located at a specific location. There's so many different options here, but this type of tool is great. So instead of coming up here and grabbing a post-processing volume and dragging that out, doing one-off logic for each and every instance or parts of my scene, I just have this handy style tool that it basically goes through and it automates everything for me. It creates the proper material instances for the post-processing effects, and then it applies them as needed. It's a really handy system, and this is another example of something where if you can automate it, then you might as well, because it's going to save you a lot of time and energy and headaches. And if you have a stylized game using post-processing effects and you want to be able to tweak them in a more granular way, look into custom stencils and then see how far you can push that in your own projects.